The number one biggest enemy of you all right now, and the reason why you're not losing fat. You're probably eating a bunch of salads, you're probably eating chicken breast and rice and broccoli, and you're thinking, my diet's really, really healthy. I'm just someone that'll never lose weight, I'll never lose fat. That's completely false. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In the last video, we had talked about the 3 main eating principles when looking to lose fat. So if you haven't watched that video, I would advise you to go watch that so this one can make a little bit more sense. But regardless, even if you didn't watch that last video, today we're going to be talking about my personal 15, that's right, 15 food hacks that I use to lose fat easily while still maintaining my satiety levels so I don't get hungry and the foods are still delicious. So I get to eat what I want and lose the fat all at the same time. So these are my 15 food hacks. Food hack number 1 is going to be this 647 bread right here. So this bread is specifically good because per slice it's only 40 calories. So 40 calories per slice in comparison to a typical slice of bread, which would be about 80, 90, even some slices of breads get upwards of 120 calories. So using this bread, this 647 bread, as opposed to using your normal bread, so substituting your normal bread for this 647 bread is going to decrease the calories in half with just the bread. So for some practical uses, I like to make French toast in the morning, and it is my breakfast all the time. Sometimes I switch it up, but most of the time it's my French toast, and I use this bread, and I use this bread specifically because I can have more slices of bread, so more French toast, while still lowering the amount of calories total in the entire meal. Obviously, this is going to be in conjunction with making swaps such as whole eggs for egg whites and not using any heavy creams or other added sugars and things like that. That will also further lower the calories. But if we're looking at a comparison to comparison basis, my bread is going to be half the calories just from the bread portion than a normal slice of bread. It's still the same volume. It still tastes the same. This bread tastes like any other bread. And no pun intended, but it is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So get your 647 bread. I highly recommend it. Number 2 is going to be PB Fit or PB2 instead of regular peanut butter. And so it comes in a package. This is a really big container, but this is PB Fit. So I don't know if you guys could see it right here, but it's only 70 calories for 2 tablespoons. And if we look at regular peanut butter for 2 tablespoons, it's 190 or 200 calories. So we're more than halving the calories just from this swap right here. And so what this is, it's just ground up peanuts minus all of the extra oils that are in peanut butters and all the extra ingredients that are in it. Now, even if you're saying, well, I eat organic peanut butters or almond butters, that's going to have, if you notice, there's a bunch of oil that sits on top, and that is what packs the most of the calories in those peanut butters or any sort of nut butters. So swapping for something like PB Fit or PB2 can lower the calories. You still get all the taste of peanut butter. Specifically, I would throw this in my shakes instead of peanut butter, and it's getting blended up anyway, so it still tastes like there's plenty of peanut butter. In fact, today, someone actually walked up to me and walked past me and was like, oh, it smells like peanut butter around here. And it was this. So it smells like peanut butter, tastes like peanut butter. It's peanut butter without the extra calories. So if you're someone that really likes peanut butter and is looking to still lose weight and you can't skate past negating it completely from your diet, I recommend getting some PB Fit. Number 3 is going to be sugar-free pudding mix. And what you'll notice in a lot of this list, it's more of ingredients. So I use a bunch of these hacks as food ingredients in my cooking or to make things taste better without providing extra calories, because that's the name of the game. We want to just have foods that taste good, that don't provide extra calories. Therefore, we can stay in a calorie deficit and lose the fat that we want to. So sugar-free pudding mix is a great addition, again, to my shakes or any other sort of dessert-like cooking ingredients. But there are plenty of flavors. So there's chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. But more specifically, what I like to use it in is the homemade anabolic cheesecake. And you can have this cheesecake flavored sugar-free pudding mix that acts as a thickener and it tastes like cheesecake. And so when you're making this, and I could link a video down in the description, or you can search it up yourself for homemade low-calorie cheesecake, using this as a substitute instead of whole cream cheese is going to lower the calories of the entire dish, plus you still get all the flavor of cheesecake. It tastes exactly like it. So you get to still eat your desserts and lose fat at the same time. So personally, that's what I would like to do during my cuts when I'm trying to lose fat. I don't want to have to starve myself on bland food and essentially air because I'm trying to just lose a little bit extra fat. I still want to enjoy my life. I still want to have a good quality social aspect of my eating as well. So I still want to be able to eat the foods that I enjoy, feel good about them, and lose the fat. So it's about balance here, and using things like sugar-free pudding mix is going to be able to provide a lot of the taste in these desserts or sweetened foods that you might still be craving when you're trying to lose fat, while also not providing the extra calories so we can stay in a calorie deficit and lose fat. Number 4 is very similar to this, so sugar-free Jell-O. And now we can add this sugar-free Jell-O or the gelatin to certain dishes, or you can just make it on its own. So you can either buy the little sugar-free Jell-O packs, but they are quite small, and they're essentially 0 calories if you check the box. I don't have any on me right now, but if you check the box, they're basically like 0 calories for the little cups. Now, you can either do that and have a few, or you just buy the little package of the gelatin itself, the sugar-free Jell-O, and you just cook it using the instructions. So you just boil some water, put the packet in, and then you cool it down so it actually hardens and forms like the gelatin consistency, the jiggle basically. And you can essentially make an entire big bowl of Jell-O for like no calories whatsoever. At maximum, be like 50 calories to eat your entire body weight worth of Jell-O. So by that point, you're sick of Jell-O, you're so full, you've gotten rid of the sugar cravings that, or the sweet tooth that you might have had, and you've barely eaten actually any calories. So sugar-free Jell-O is a great way to go if you have some sugar, sweet tooth, or some cravings and you want to just knock it out pretty quickly without adding any extra calories. Number 5 is going to be cauliflower rice. And cauliflower has been kind of making a revamp. It's been making a comeback. It got a really bad rep a bunch of years ago, but it's starting to come back. You're seeing many food chains incorporate cauliflower rice into their menus, and for good reason. One, it's a vegetable, so it's going to provide you some great phytochemicals and some nutrients that we might not otherwise be getting. But 2, if at the very least, it's a great way to add a bunch of volume and decrease the calories at the same time. So specifically, if I'm making like a fajita bowl for dinner, or if you're thinking about like Chipotle or whatnot, you normally would get rice or white rice. Now, if you swap that for cauliflower rice, you've essentially decreased hundreds of calories just from that one swap. And just from that one swap, if you changed nothing throughout your entire day and you were eating at maintenance, so you weren't gaining or losing any weight, if we just made that one swap from white rice to cauliflower rice, we've decreased our calories consumed. We're going to get into that calorie deficit and start to lose fat. And a significant amount of it too. We can decrease hundreds of calories just from this one swap. Now, personally, what I like to do is I like to start at half and half. Cauliflower rice, it's a good mimic of white rice, but it's not exactly there. Like, I could taste the difference a little bit. It masks it pretty well, but if I go half and half, I still get the taste of rice. The extra volume from the cauliflower rice is still there. And then as I get deeper into that cut and start to lose more fat, then I'll switch it to full cauliflower rice whenever I need to make some additional changes. But even if you go half and half, that's going to be plenty fine. You're going to decrease a lot of the calories as opposed to going full white rice or brown rice or whatever kind of rice. Number 6, following this theme, is going to be eating your veggies and fruit. And no list would be complete without fruits and veggies. It is just the staple of healthy eating, fat loss, whatever it is, health. Just eat your fruits and vegetables. Cannot stress this enough. Everybody's trying to look for the hacks, which I am giving plenty of good hacks, but I definitely need to go with the tried and true staples. Eat your fruits and vegetables, if at the very least they provide extra volume in your food. So if you fill up a plate with a bunch of veggies, it's going to fill up your stomach a lot more without providing a lot of the calories. But fruits and vegetables also contain a ton of nutrients that are beneficial for your health. So just eat your fruits and veggies. Do it however you can, cook it however you would like, so long as you don't add in a bunch of extra calories. So if you're cooking your Brussels sprouts or broccoli and dousing them in olive oil is very calorically dense. It has a lot of calories in it. So it's going to negate the idea of eating your veggies. So cook it in the manners that you like, whether that's sauteing them or baking them or whatnot. But I would recommend using some seasonings as opposed to anything that would add in a ton of calories like oils. So using salt, pepper, paprika, cumin, whatever kind of 0-calorie seasonings that are out there. Number 7 is going to be lean proteins. And eating protein can come in a variety of different ways, shapes, and forms, but choosing the leaner cuts of protein is going to decrease the calories because it decreases the fat percentage. So when we're looking at protein cuts, there is in all proteins, protein, and it's accompanied by fat. At least it is in nature. So long as it's not synthetically made, protein is always accompanied by some sort of fat. Now, the different levels of fat content are going to vary based on the cut of meat that you choose. And so, good way to look at this, and the easiest way to look at it, is for your ground meats. So if you're looking at ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey, whatever kind of ground meats, on the package, it'll tell you the lean percentage and fat percentage. So it'll say 80% lean, 20% fat. That's the actual content of the meat itself. So whatever's in that meat, it's made up of 80% meat and 20% fat. So the higher up we go on the lean percentage, the lower the fat content will be. And we know that fats are more calorically dense than protein. So if we're reducing the amount of fats that are in the meat, the ground meat itself, we're going to decrease the amount of calories that we're actually eating because we're decreasing the amount of fats, raising the protein. So look for leaner cuts of meat. Now, leaner cuts of meat are typically a little bit more expensive. So if we want to work around this, we can get the highest lean percentage that we can afford. So if the highest lean percentage you can afford is like 80 or 85% lean, what we can do is when we cook the meats on the pan or whatever, however you're cooking it, what's going to happen is the fats from that meat, they turn into liquid. So they're solidified in that meat. And then because of the cooking process, when you heat it up, it turns into a liquid, or essentially known as oils. And all those oils are just sitting in a pool at the bottom of the pan. So the best way to get rid of this now is just to strain it. And it's very easily separated because you have the meat that's still solid and then the oils are liquid. So you can just pour the pan with all the meat contents into a strainer and you just drain the excess oils, which is essentially just doing the same thing as choosing a leaner cut of ground meat. So you can essentially turn your 80% lean, 20% fat ground beef into 95% lean, 5% fat ground beef because you're draining the oils, you're draining the fat, and draining the excess calories from that. Number 8 is going to be fat-free dairy products. And specifically, I like to look at yogurt because you have some yogurts that are packed with sugars and fats. So a bunch of added sugars in yogurts. You're thinking yogurt's a healthy food. It's got pre and probiotics and it's going to be healthy for the gut microbiome. But most of the yogurts that are on the market are just loaded with added sugars because they're going to taste a little bit better, right? So typically yogurt's going to be like this sour-ish kind of food, but adding the extra sugars is going to get you to buy it. But at that point, you're just going to be adding in a bunch of extra calories, a bunch of added sugars. You're going to turn a food that's actually good for you and good for your healthy gut microbiome into a very unhealthy food that's packed with added sugars. So a good thing to look for is plain, non-fat Greek yogurt. And this is a great cooking ingredient tool, believe it or not. So you can actually cook tons of desserts with this as a substitute for whole eggs or creams or any sort of whipped substances. Essentially, this is a great substitute for it. And I also just put it into my shakes again. So if I need something quick, along with some protein and some fruit and whatnot, just put this instead of regular plain old yogurt because, well, not plain old, sugar added yogurt. Adding the plain non-fat Greek yogurt is going to decrease a lot of the calories from the added sugars and some fats too. And what you actually see here, it's a very high protein food. So if you can see it, for 170 grams, one serving, it's 18 grams of protein. That's like 3 spoonfuls worth of yogurt is going to be 18 grams of protein. So not only are you decreasing the calories, you're also increasing the protein from regular yogurt. And that's a fantastic swap. Number 9 is going to be low-calorie sauces, condiments, and syrups. Sauces are probably the number one biggest enemy of you all right now, and the reason why you're not losing fat. You're probably eating a bunch of salads, you're probably eating chicken breast and rice and broccoli, and you're thinking, my diet's really, really healthy. I'm just someone that'll never lose weight, I'll never lose fat. That's completely false. You can do it, anyone can do it. The reason why you're probably not seeing that fat loss is because you're dousing it in a bunch of high calorie sauces. So a bunch of dressings. If you're having a salad and you put a bunch of salad dressing on it, you're going to add hundreds, upwards of 1,000 calories, depending on how much you put. An extra 1,000 calories, half your daily's worth of calories, roughly about. I'm not you. I can't directly measure your calories, but a ton of calories are going to be added in those condiments and sauces and dressings. Same thing with mayo. If you're eating a sandwich and you douse it in mayo, hundreds of calories in mayo. If you are eating breakfast and you have some good healthy protein pancakes and then you douse it in regular syrup, it's just all added sugars. And even though they're natural sugars and whatnot, even if they're not added sugars, it's still packed with a bunch of calories. So at the end of the day, you're still in a calorie surplus. You're still going to gain fat no matter what, regardless of how organic the syrup is. So what I would like to do, especially for the syrup, switch it out for sugar-free syrup. Is it exactly like natural maple syrup? No. Is it good enough? Yeah. Honestly, you'll get used to it after a little while. You won't really notice a difference once you start to eat it. Again, if you really want to ease your way into it, if you really don't like the taste of sugar-free syrup, which I think it's the exact same pretty much, honestly, syrup is syrup for the most part, you can go half and half and then sort of wane your way off all the way to this sugar-free syrup. But regardless, whatever it is, that's going to be the main determinant for your diet. These low-calorie sauces, condiments, syrups. There's things like Walden Farms or G. Hughes for barbecue sauces, honey mustards, things that are normally very high calories. There are companies out there that are making the lower calorie versions of these things, whether that's sugar-free or fat-free, whatever it is. Just look for the lowest calorie condiments and sauce that you can find. Sugar-free ketchup is probably the best one, as well as just regular old mustard. No calories essentially in that. So highly recommend eating those and avoiding the high calorie dense sauces, condiments, and syrups that you normally find. Also, I mentioned before, use a bunch of spices. Spices are great for cooking. They're great for taste. They're great for switching up flavors. And most of them have 0 calories. So long as you're not buying like the marketed, like super exotic sort of spices, you can find regular spices that just come from nature, paprika, cumin, oregano, whatever these things are that are no calories, and they're going to spice up and make the dishes taste so much better. So use those instead. Number 10 is going to be guar gum or xanthan gum. I don't know if any of you have heard of this before, but this is a good example, guar gum. What this is a natural thickener. So again, use as a great ingredient because it's going to thicken all of your dishes or desserts or whatever you're making. And you're thinking, why would I want to thicken it? Okay, picture this. Specifically, if you're making a shake, this is the easiest example I can come up with. If I'm making a shake and the total volume is here, I put a little bit of fruit, some yogurt, a little bit of protein, it's here. Adding just a tiny bit of guar gum, like a little pinch, little dash, we can essentially rise up that volume up to here. And what's going to fill up your stomach more? Something that's this small or that? Right? The second one is. And guar gum has 0 calories. Technically, it says 5 calories. So you add an extra 5 calories. Boo-hoo. It's nothing. So you've doubled your volume by adding 5 calories. I would take that any day. So when you're cooking, it's a leavening agent, meaning it leavens, it rises things. So things like breads, any sort of baked dishes, if you're making some homemade baked dishes, instead of adding extra calorie-filled ingredients, just add a little bit of guar gum or xanthan gum and make it rise, fill up your stomach more. It'll keep you full for longer and you won't want to eat. So you can crush those hunger cravings because your stomach is stretched. It has stretch receptors. It's telling the brain, we're full. We don't need to eat. We're still stretched out. That's what guar gum's going to do for you. Number 11 is going to be clear alcohols or diet mixers, and or both, because in any diet, typically most people are like, oh, I have to stop drinking now. So for the people that are over the age of 21 or whatever country laws, wherever you're watching from, be of age, do not break the law. But if you are going to drink, choose clear alcohols. Clear alcohols have lower calories than darker alcohols. And you're probably thinking, well, the 3 macronutrients are carbs, fats, and proteins, and those are the only thing that has calories. Well, alcohol does have calories too. It's just not an essential nutrient, so we don't really need to eat any alcohols in our diet. So that's really anything extra that you want to do. It does have 7 calories per gram though. So a lot of the calories that you do on a weekend out. So let's say you eat great throughout the week, Monday through Friday, you're chilling, strict, on point in your diet. Then you go out Saturday night or whatever it is, Friday night, Saturday night, you go have some drinks. Let's say you go hard and you have like 6+ drinks and you have darker alcohols with a soda mixer. You've essentially just drank an extra 6 sodas with all the calories that come from the shots of alcohol in those drinks, or the amount of alcohol that's in those drinks. And that's going to add in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calories, right? Soda contains a lot of sugar, a lot of calories. Alcohol is going to contain more calories. So just from that one night of drinking, you're going to negate all the progress that you've made throughout the week. And then you're thinking, what did I do all this for? Just to throw it away on a random weeknight or weekend. So what can you do about that? You're thinking, well, in that case, then I probably just won't drink alcohol. But you still have to have a social life. You still want to go out. People, if all your friends are going to go out, you don't want to be that one guy that's like making a whole scene because you're the guy that wants to, I don't know, get shredded and you just don't drink alcohol. Which by all means, honestly, don't drink alcohol if you don't want to. That's completely fine. I don't know why we live in a society where it's like, oh, you don't want to drink alcohol with us because we're going out. That's weird. Like, don't drink alcohol if you don't want to. There's plenty of nights when I go out and I don't drink at all. I don't need to. It's fine. But if you are so inclined to drink, choose the clear alcohols. They have less calories. Plus, I mean, diet mixers are out there. This is diet tonic water. So they have regular club sodas, diet Pepsis, diet Cokes as a mixer. If you're a Jack and Coke fan or whatever, just choose a diet Coke. It's going to take out hundreds of calories. And you're like, all right, what's 100 calories? Well, multiply that by 5-6 drinks. You just save yourself 500-600 calories right there. So that's what I would recommend if you are so inclined to drink. If you don't want to drink, don't drink. Also, drinking a bunch of alcohol and binge drinking is not healthy for the most part. So if you can avoid drinking, it'll be healthier for you. But I totally understand that there is a social aspect of drinking alcohol, going out. So if you do feel so inclined, definitely limit it to some extent. Be in control of yourself, but also make smarter choices. Number 12, following the same concept here, diet sodas, Soda Zeros, and other 0-calorie drinks. So sodas are one of the largest consumed drinks in the United States, and they are probably the one most single unhealthy food or drink item that is possibly given to anybody. And it's kind of a shame that we sort of market this toward kids especially, because it is just straight up added sugar. And that's it. It's going to add in tons and tons of calories. It's going to add in tons and tons of health effects. It's just not good in the slightest. And switching this to diet sodas or diet zeros or Soda Zeros, whatever the name is, 0 calories, so seltzers, whatnot. What this is going to do is it's still going to give you the flavor that you're looking for. So if you have a sugar craving, by all means, you can have a diet soda, and a lot of the diet sodas now are made with artificial sweeteners that are not health adverse. So you're not going to experience any adverse health effects from them. So there is really no difference statistically, at least in the current literature, especially with the new erythritol study coming out and whatnot, but aspartame, the same thing. Adding in these artificial sweeteners are not going to be any more beneficial or damaging than regular soda. However, it will be way more beneficial than consuming the calories from all those added sugars in regular soda. So you're getting the benefits without any of the adverse risk. So diet sodas, good option in my opinion. Number 13, continuing on with this theme, flavored seltzers. So the same thing, 0 calories, whether that's alcoholic or regular seltzers. Flavoring the seltzers are a great option if you want to fill up your stomach. The carbonation in these drinks are going to fill up your stomach. Again, we mentioned that there are stretch receptors on the stomach. When your stomach is stretched out, it's going to send a signal to your brain that we're full, we don't need to eat. It's going to decrease your hunger hormone ghrelin, going to increase your satiety hormone leptin, so you're not going to want to eat mentally and you feel full. So you're not going to experience the rumbling in your stomach when you're typically trying to lose fat, right? That's what drives us to eat. We're just hungry. We feel like our stomach's growling. Our mind is like we need to eat. You just feel bad. So adding in a bunch of flavored seltzers, especially if you want to add in some extra flavor, by all means, add it in and the carbonation will fill that stomach, and you're going to add in 0 calories. So long as you choose the 0 calorie versions. I don't know of any seltzers specifically that have a bunch of calories in them. Most seltzers are 0 calories, but just double check to make sure. Number 14 is going to be caffeine. Any sort of caffeine that you wish, whether that's coffee, teas, yerba mate, whatever it is. Again, so long as you're not adding in any extra calories. So a bunch of people, when they hear coffee, they're just going to go to Starbucks and get one of their Frappuccino milkshakes, essentially, which are just a dessert, a glorified dessert that might taste a little bit like coffee, and then think they're doing themselves good. No, you still have to be in a calorie deficit no matter what to lose fat. So black coffee, that's the way to go. If you don't like black coffee, try to choose some other ingredients or sweeteners, like they have sugar-free syrups that you can use to flavor it, but I would highly advise against adding in any extra creams, any extra sugars, any extra milk, because that's going to add in a bunch of calories and you're not going to add in any volume. So you're not going to really notice a difference in your stomach. It's still going to digest it very quick because the volume is very low and you just packed in a bunch of calories. So keep the calories low for this caffeine. Caffeine also is very satiating. It's going to lower your hunger. It's going to keep you more alert and focused on what you have to do and not on your food or your hunger. So caffeine is great, but just don't add in the extra calories from it. You can also use artificial sweeteners like stevia or some aspartame or erythritol, whatever it is, in these artificial sweeteners that will sweeten up the coffee if you like it a little bit sweeter without adding in the extra calories. If you don't know which caffeine is best for you, or if you want to learn more about caffeine, I did a whole podcast episode on all things caffeine, whether you are a fast or slow metabolizer. We looked into the genetics of caffeine. We looked into the different types of caffeine, how much caffeine is right for you. We looked into the benefits and risks of caffeine. So if you're someone that will benefit from having multiple cups of caffeine beverage in a given day, or if it'll end up hurting you. So if you want to know about those things and how much caffeine you should be consuming in your diet, please go check out the podcast that is linked below in the description. Last but not least, number 15 is going to be chewing gum. And I like to chew gum all the time because I like to taste. And what I've realized a lot about me is that I don't actually eat most of the time because I am hungry. I eat because I want to taste. It's that simple. Like, my tongue really does kind of control a lot of what my body composition is. And if I can find a way to keep tasting things without actually adding in or digesting any or ingesting any extra calories, I'm going to choose to do that. So sugar-free gums or any sort of chewing gum that's low in calories, because there are sticks of gum out there that add in a bunch, but sugar-free or regular chewing gum is going to be a great way to keep my tongue happy, at least, or keep my taste buds happy. So I'm always constantly tasting something without actually ingesting them, ingesting calories, and thus stay in a calorie deficit, still get to taste a bunch of tasty stuff, whether that's mint or fruit or whatever it is. But I get to taste without actually adding in extra calories. Thanks for listening to this episode. I hope you guys can incorporate a bunch of these food hacks, and I promise if you just incorporate a few, you will be well on your journey in losing your fat and continuing to eat the foods that you enjoy while having them taste good. There's no point in losing a bunch of fat just for you to be miserable and hate your diet, get hangry all the time, ruin a bunch of your relationships with people just because you're hungry and trying to be focused on a goal, when you could still enjoy life just by incorporating a bunch of these little tweaks in your diet. So comment down below which one you guys personally use, or if I missed any that I haven't heard about. If you guys use a bunch of food hacks that I haven't mentioned, it's most likely because I haven't heard about it or really tried it. So if you guys do have any hacks, please let me know, and I might do a review on it. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one.